A shocking death of a young man. His mother found him hanged from a dog's chain. Was it suicide or a brutal murder? Don't miss out. The psychics will uncover a chilling secret. Welcome to Psychic Investigations, a project of true and astonishing stories. Here, people who call themselves clairvoyants investigate unbelievable paranormal phenomena and resonant criminal cases. There are always fresh flowers on this grave. This woman, Maria Tishuk, brings them almost every day. Now, this is the only place where she can visit her son, Tolik. 4 years ago, she found him hanged by a dog's chain.
I don't want to live. When he died, I died too.
Tolik was only 27. He lived in a small Ukrainian village and worked in retail as a sales consultant. He was cheerful, kind, and full of life. But one autumn day, that life was tragically cut short.
It was here, on this property, that local resident Tolik Poberezhny was found dead at the age of 27.
The house had been a gift from Maria's brother, Kirilo, 7 years earlier. Having moved to another city and with no children of his own, he gifted his house to his nephew. Tolik started renovating it, hoping to build a family and make his mother proud with grandchildren.
I dropped by and asked, "What are you doing, Tolik?" He said he was renovating it to marry and live here. He was a good guy, a kind soul.
But the house of his dreams became the place of his death.
Tolik's mother found his body. When she entered the yard, she saw a dog chain trailing toward the summer kitchen. The chain was tied to a wire stretched between a utility building and the house. When she approached the kitchen and looked inside,
He was just sitting in the pit. The noose was right here.
The official cause of death was mechanical asphyxia, strangulation. According to the police, Tolik removed the chain from the dog, put the collar around his own neck, and jumped into the pit.
Tears are more common now than joy. I just don't want to go on.
The grieving mother believes the police version. Her once lively and happy son had become quiet and withdrawn not long before it happened. She even felt that something was about to happen.
Before my son died, our dog, Baikal, howled non-stop.
And 2 months before the tragedy, she began having strange dreams.
For 3 nights in a row, I saw a woman. She reached out her hand and said, "Give me Tolik." I shouted, "No, no, I won't. He's mine. Leave." And she disappeared. The second night, it repeated. On the third night, a man appeared. He stretched out his arms and said, "Give me your son."
And on the night before the tragedy, Maria woke up and saw something truly horrifying.
The night before he died, I opened my eyes, and there were 2 shining eyes staring at me. I said, "Oh my God," and turned on the light, but no one was there.
And the next day, she found her son hanging from a noose. For the past 4 years, Maria has believed his death was the work of something mystical. An otherworldly entity forced him to end his life.
It hurts so much. I can't find peace. This pain, it's never ending. Some nights I can't sleep at all.
This grief has lived in her for 4 years. More than anything, Maria wishes to understand what force took her son's life and why. So she's asking the people with extraordinary abilities for help.
I want Yaroslava Fedorova to come and help me figure this out.
There's an energy of deep fear coming from his photo. It's apparent the man was terrified before his death. It feels like someone was pursuing him. I wonder who it might be. I can't quite explain it. It's like a 3-headed dog, like Cerberus. His death, it feels planned. like it was caused by something truly terrifying and evil.
Was Tolik's death premeditated? What was this powerful force Yaroslava describes, and why did it take him?
He was so kind and caring. He always joked he was the heart of the party.
He was a good guy, quiet and calm.
Yaroslava will investigate the case alongside her colleague, Olena Kurilova.
Olena, I think we shouldn't waste time. Let's go straight to the site.
The mother greets the psychics at the very house where she once dreamed of visiting her son and future grandchildren. However, now it reminds her only of tragedy. The poor woman can barely keep herself together, unable to say a word.
Wait. Is this where you found him?
Yes, that's right.
There were injuries to his face, bruises, and so on.
Around his neck, it was like canvas. Like a canvas dog collar.
Yes, a collar. There was a clothesline and then a chain. The door was shut. I thought, why is the chain there? Then I tugged on the chain 3 or 4 times. I thought maybe the dog had jumped and gotten tangled, but when I got closer,
He was tied to the chain.
yes,
Wearing the collar?
yes. I shouted, Tolik, no, no, my son, no. I jumped in and undid it. I threw away the collar. I tried to do mouth to mouth. I couldn't do it. I couldn't start his heart. Forgive your mother, son. If I'd come sooner, maybe I could have saved him. I have 3 degrees in construction, medicine, and teaching, but I still couldn't bring him back. Forgive me, son.
It's hard to watch this. Maria spent over 10 years working in a kindergarten, then as a nurse in a therapy ward. She spent her life helping others, but couldn't save her own son.
Maria, please calm down.
But what really happened on that tragic autumn day? Did Tolik truly take his own life, or did someone push him into it? And who were those figures in Maria's dreams who came to take her son?
I feel like something is always walking around here. Some kind of creature, a presence. And it's watching. He was being watched, constantly. I could feel eyes on my back. I didn't know who was watching, but one thing was clear. A vicious, dark force dragged Tolik to the other side.
But what is this force Yaroslava mentioned? And how is it linked to Tolik's death?
I think we need to go to the cemetery.
The clairvoyants head to the cemetery with Maria. What will they sense there? Was it truly suicide, or did someone else play a part in Tolik's death?
My dear son, your mom is here. Forgive me, I didn't save you.
It turns out that on that tragic day, Tolik left in the morning to visit his friend.
I said, son, stay home, watch some TV. But he said, I'll be right back. And so he left around 9 or 10 a.m.
Our detective found that friend.
The victim's friend, Victor, lived just a few streets away. He's currently working in another city. Over the phone, he told us that Tolik came by around noon. They talked for about an hour. Tolik said he was heading home to continue renovating the house his uncle had gifted him.
Tolik planned to clean up the yard that day. Meanwhile, Maria was at home doing chores. She could never have imagined that just hours later, she'd find her son dead.
I had this gut feeling that I had to go find him. Something pushed me to look, but I didn't do it.
Maria, let us work. Please. Let go of the cross for a moment. Please.
Forgive me. Forgive me, forgive me. My son. I loved him. My golden boy. My son. My beloved son.
Maria has two other sons. Serhiy is older and Victor is younger. Tolik was her middle son. After things fell apart with her husband, she raised her children on her own. Serhiy and Victor moved to the city, and only Tolik stayed by her side.
What I saw at Tolik's grave shocked me. His spirit was yelling, "They killed me! They killed me! They killed me!" And he showed me a vision of him being beaten and mocked, and then the collar was fastened around his neck.
They beat him badly. I believe this was a violent death. He didn't take his own life.
This is incomprehensible. Maria was convinced her son took his own life. Was she wrong all along? And if so, who killed Tolik? And why?
From what we know, the forensics found the following injuries on Tolik Poberezhny's body. 3 abrasions on his right hand, a scratch on the lower third of his left thigh, and another abrasion on the back of his left hand. All of these injuries were inflicted while he was still alive. This means Tolik either got hurt while being forcibly thrown into the cellar, or he somehow fell in on his own and was injured that way.
But why would Tolik jump into the pit? And why did he choose such a bizarre method of suicide by fastening a dog's collar around his neck?
I have no doubt he was murdered. And the eyes Olena and I kept seeing, the ones always watching Tolik, those were his killer's eyes. He was being watched constantly.
According to Victor, Tolik had recently become fearful. He spoke to friends less and rarely went out. And a week before his death, he gave his phone to his mother, saying he didn't need it. But Maria remembers a strange phone call a few days before his death.
A man called asking where Tolik was. I said he'd given me his phone. Then he mumbled something like, "Oh, did he go somewhere?" I asked, "Would you like me to tell him something?" But he hung up immediately. The voice was young.
Was it just a friend calling, or Tolik's future killer?
I clearly sensed that Tolik met his murderers right in the house where he was found hanged. So, Yaroslava and I decided to go back there immediately.
I had a vision. They were beating him, mocking him, and calling him vile names. And then they tied him up like a dog.
Tolik was found seated in the cellar of the summer kitchen, wearing a dog collar. This is very strange and looks like a murder with the purpose of showing or proving something.
I believe this was about money. It feels like he got tangled in something shady.
He was such a kind soul. He never hurt anyone. If someone needed help, he was the first to show up. Aunt Vera might ask him to shovel manure or dig the garden, and he'd go and do it. He was just that kind of person.
I think he used to live in the city for a bit, working in small-scale trade, renting an apartment.
It turns out Tolik often traveled to work in a city 200 kilometers from his village.
We worked in the marketplace, selling mobile top-up cards and office supplies. We sold things.
But how does all this tie into Tolik's death? Who killed him, and why?
There, do you see it? An A on the wall.
Indeed, an A. It wasn't there before.
It just manifested.
He's speaking to us. He wants us to enter the house.
That letter A. It's A for Tolik, my son. It's a miracle. A miracle. We've been here so many times. No one could have drawn that.
This is unbelievable. What else will the psychics uncover? What is Tolik trying to say? Could he be trying to point to his murderer?
A ring from a young woman. It was pawned for money. What's that ring?
It happened in the city.
What is the mysterious ring the psychics speak of? And what role did it play in Tolik's death?
I see an apartment, some rooms and beds, 2 guys and 2 girls. There's a fight about money. You're indebted. Why did you take my ring? Buy me a new ring.
Yes, I heard about that. He told me.
According to Tolik's mother, he and his brother went to work in the city for a month. While there, they searched for an apartment to rent. They met 2 girls at the market, also looking for a place to stay.
The girls were both 20 and also arrived to do seasonal work. The 4 of them decided to rent an apartment together, as it was cheaper that way. But soon, trouble started. The girls stopped paying rent.
Tolik paid the rent. He bought the food. Finally, he had enough and took one of the girls' rings.
According to Tolik's brother, he pawned the gold ring and used the money to pay the rent. The girl was furious and, seeking revenge, called her friends. However, their identities remain unknown.
Those guys came and took his passport.
Then they told him, now you owe us even more. That ring wasn't enough. Return the ring and pay extra.
According to Victor, he witnessed everything but could do nothing. Soon after, the men gave Tolik an ultimatum.
They told him to bring them a few thousand to get his passport back.
Could this conflict be the reason behind Tolik's death?
Victor says that after the threats began, he and Tolik called their older brother Sreepy. Sreepy is a lawyer in Kyiv. When he found out about the trouble, he contacted the people who were threatening Tolik. He promised to return the ring to its owner. According to the family, the matter was resolved. Tolik got his passport back. The conflict was settled.
There was a money dispute, yes, but those weren't the people who killed your son. Those were others.
But if the people who threatened Tolik weren't involved in his death, then who killed him? And why?
The force that killed him was the force of vengeance. Someone wanted to humiliate and punish Tolik, and money was indeed involved.
He was being watched, and not by just one person. Shortly before his death, he got involved with some people and borrowed money from them.
His mother said that a month before his death, Tolik bought a new TV and materials for the renovation. He usually earned about 1,000 hryvnias a month, which he gave to his mother. When she asked where he got the extra money, he said he was taking side jobs, but never said where or how.
If he had a bit of extra money, he'd say, Mom, I've got a little cash. Do you want me to buy something?
He borrowed money a few times, but didn't pay it back.
There's something else.
They treated him like a dog on a leash.
A debt. You're a dog, then you get a dog's death. This was a punishment.
Yes.
Was Tolik truly murdered over a debt?
I always told my kids, never steal. You must work. If the money is tight, borrow some and repay later.
Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 people.
We found a neighbor who saw 4 strangers enter Tolik's yard.
4 guys came in and started beating him. I hid behind the bushes. They dragged him by the arms and legs. I nearly fainted. It was so terrifying that I shudder thinking of it. I still remember it. I was so scared.
The woman says she was so terrified for her own life to even call the police.
Your son was killed over debt.
He deceived them. He borrowed money, but had no way to repay it. He never paid back.
But why didn't they come to me? They could have told me. I would have sold the cow or something else.
I think they simply didn't know about you. He took the money as an independent adult, you know?
I would have paid it back. I would have sold everything we had to save him.
Tolik wanted to help his family and build a home of his own. But he didn't have enough money, so he borrowed it. from the wrong people, and they decided to punish him.
The locals say there were indeed rumors about Tolik's debts circulating around the village.
People said he owed money to someone.
It is possible indeed. In the criminal world, debtors who don't repay what they borrow are punished.
But what were those mysterious dreams Maria had before her son's death, and the force the psychics sensed at the beginning of the investigation?
Her dreams were visits from the spirits of her loved ones. They were trying to warn her that Tolik might soon be taken away. And those terrifying glowing eyes were the eyes of death, the same force that took away her son.
They came in a light-colored car. The license plate had the numbers 0 and 2.
That day, we saw a car with strangers inside. They were hanging around near Tolik's place.
One of them had a crooked nose, like a boxer, black hair cropped at the bottom and slicked to the side on top. But he wasn't alone.
I sense 4 people.
We passed this information on to the police in the hope that the psychic's insights might help identify Tolik's killers.
I believe justice will prevail, and those people will be punished. I feel a bit lighter now. Thank you. I'm very grateful to the psychics for uncovering the truth. Now I know he was murdered. My son had no reason to take his own life.
The road of death, a supernatural entity, provokes horrifying accidents and takes drivers. Where did this killer ghost come from, and can it be stopped? Don't miss the unbelievable investigation by the people with supernatural abilities. The locals fear this 1-kilometer stretch of the road between Ukrainian villages near Kyiv as if it were cursed, as it takes people to the afterlife. Terrible car accidents occur here regularly. A special section of the local cemetery has even been reserved for those who crashed here.
All of these are their graves.
Drivers try to be extremely cautious, but the number of accidents keeps rising uncontrollably. The locals live in fear. They say it all started around 10 years ago, though no one has any idea why.
For example, my classmates. They died in a car crash here. 2 others were hit and 3 more crashed. Then another one crashed and another about 300 meters away. So many people died.
This stretch seems cursed.
Accidents on this road happen for various reasons, regardless of weather conditions. Both drivers and pedestrians perish. Yet, this stretch can't be classified as dangerously accident-prone.
During daylight and in clear weather, visibility extends over 1 kilometer in both directions. There are no turns or slopes on the road. There are no objective factors that could contribute to the occurrence of accidents on this stretch of road.
I was driving to my sister's. When we left the village, there didn't seem to be any fog, but then it was like hitting a solid wall. I literally couldn't see anything. On that day, there were about 5 or 6 accidents on this stretch. That very day. And then, about a week later, a few more guys died.
And so we started thinking of calling the psychics. Maybe they can reveal some secret to us.
Psychics Hala Polishchuk and Kayal Alekero take on the case.
I see a strange image. It's a young woman. She's very beautiful, but she looks unusual. I see her dressed in white, with flames burning on her head. She walks along the road, collecting dead flowers. And I also see shapeshifters. It's no good. We need to investigate.
The psychics arrive at the dangerous stretch of the road, where the locals are already waiting for them.
These people here lost their relatives and friends.
Please help us.
I feel like you've already tried to do something about it.
We called a priest and had him to bless the road and install a cross, but it didn't help.
What is this infernal power that is unaffected by prayers and blessings?
We need to tune in.
The psychics spent about an hour carefully examining every inch of the dangerous stretch of road. However, as soon as they began their work, the wind suddenly picked up and the sun hid behind clouds.
like some kind of supernatural force was against us figuring out what was happening there.
This feels like an anomalous zone. I've experienced this before. When? In the 90s, I was in an accident. The taxi driver lost consciousness and crashed into a guardrail.
This area is strange, paranormal. I've only felt this kind of energy once in my life, back in my homeland. In Azerbaijan, there's a mountain pass where many accidents occur. When I drove past that place, I lost control of the car. It felt like some mystical force was driving it instead of me. I got thrown off the road.
I'm an experienced driver and I've been doing it professionally for years. But instead of braking, I pressed the gas as if someone controlled my foot.
I'm starting to see images. People who died in the accidents. I see dozens of deaths. Wait. Another picture. 3 young men. They died right here.
Strangely, the sun reappeared just as suddenly as it had disappeared.
3 guys in a car. They're driving and suddenly a dark car, whoosh, comes straight at them.
Those were our sons. They were driving here and a Jeep hit them head on.
How old were your sons?
18. Here are the 3 wreaths. The accident was right here.
The boys went to the river to swim, but never made it.
The Jeep drove straight at them.
They collided head-on, in broad daylight. None of them survived. One was taken to the hospital, but he died later. All 3 died.
The boys were completely sober. They got into an accident on a straight road in broad daylight. This accident shouldn't have happened. I feel that the driver of the oncoming car was blinded by some extraordinary light. Some kind of force made him swerve and drive into the opposite lane. But I saw another similar accident. A young man was driving, and he too was blinded by the same force. He suffered for a long time before he died.
Oh yes, it was my friend. It happened 6 years ago. He crashed right where the van is standing. There were no other participants in the accident. Just his car. It was split in half.
In broad daylight, the young man flew off the road into a ditch. The car was totally destroyed, and the driver died.
I hear some strange sound. It's either a scream or a squeal. My ears just popped. It's coming from this side.
As it turned out, the locals also hear mysterious sounds on this road.
My dad is 48 years old. He's a strong man. He says he barely endured being on that road. He heard unbearable screaming. He said he'd never heard such a shriek in his life.
Kayal, maybe the voice you're hearing is the key to solving what's happening on this road. We need to find whose voice it is. We need to tune in to the most recent tragedy that happened here.
The energy from the recent accident is the strongest.
Let's tune in to this guy. For some reason, he's showing me a woman. And she's crying. They even look alike. I think it's his mother. His spirit says we need to find her.
Let's go. I hope he helps us understand what this force is.
The boy lived in a village 3 kilometers away. Sasha Melnik was only 17. He was walking home from a disco in a neighboring village when he was fatally hit by a car. His mother still can't cope with this devastating loss.
Come, let me hug you. Just a hug. Come here. Oh dear.
The grieving mother refused to talk on camera. For about half an hour, the psychics consoled the woman and then continued their work.
The mother is in a terrible state, and she's constantly connected to the spirit of her boy. I connected with this spirit through her. He told me that only young men die on this road.
It's unbelievable, but as it turned out, it's true. Only young men, both drivers and pedestrians, die on this road.
My son was injured in an accident. 2 weeks later, 2 more kids were hit on the same road. Losing your child is a tragedy, and I don't want such incidents to happen there again.
Girls never. Only boys. Only boys and young men.
Hala, but on the road, I felt the death of an older man.
That's strange.
He was about 50 years old.
That must be the eldest, that father who died. But the rest were all young boys, not even married yet.
As it turned out, in September 2011, a local farmer, 47-year-old Ruslan Sivak, died in an accident on this dangerous stretch of road.
I have a feeling that the man wasn't supposed to die. His death was a mistake. The force taking lives on this road made an error.
As the night fell, the psychics decided to continue the investigation the next day and set out in the morning to the family of the deceased man.
Hello.
To tune in to the energy of the deceased man, the psychics asked his widow for something that was his.
What was your husband's name?
Ruslan.
It feels like he was shattered to pieces.
The body of the deceased was left unrecognizable to spare anyone from seeing the horror. The coffin wasn't even opened during the funeral.
Your husband was supposed to be at home that night. He wasn't supposed to go anywhere. But he had a call.
Indeed, someone called him and told him to come pick up Zhenya.
That night, this woman's 15-year-old son, Zhenya, was in a neighboring village celebrating his friend's birthday. He planned to return by car with his older friend. But on the way home, the car hit a pothole precisely at the spot where the accidents occur. Like some mystical force was preventing the boys from moving further.
We tried to start the car, but I remember we couldn't go anywhere.
So my husband went to pick up our son. It was late, around 2 a.m.
Oh my God. Did your son witness what happened to his father?
Yes, it happened before his eyes.
The boy lost consciousness from the shock. He doesn't recall what happened next.
I saw him stop, park, and get out of the car. Then, I heard the screeching of tires, and the next thing I remember is the ambulance.
I'd like to speak to your son if that's all right. Hello, Zhenya. Apart from terror, you also feel guilt.
He shouldn't have come for me.
But it's not your fault. Zhenya was at the site, and on a subconscious level, I'm sure he saw the force that took his father. If we go together to this road, I may be able to reconstruct the scene and understand what force takes people's lives there.
The psychics decided to return to the dangerous stretch of road with the family of Ruslan Sivak.
I'm reading information from Zhenya and see that before your father's death, the anomalous zone expanded. It became enormous.
I see that he was hit by 2 cars. Your father came from that direction. He was pulled over here. He tried to cross the road, maybe to reach you. 2 cars were approaching at high speed. One was light-colored, and the other was dark. Your father decided to wait until they passed. Then, bang, the impact was right around here.
As it turned out, the man was hit by one car, but the fatal injuries were caused by another vehicle speeding behind it.
The white car hit him, and the blue one dragged him.
Men in uniform drove both cars. They were law enforcement officers.
Does it mean the poor man was killed by two defenders of law and order who were racing each other at high speed on the night road? It's simply incomprehensible.
I have a strange feeling on this road, as if death is walking nearby. And Ruslan's death was no accident.
Don't you agree, Valentina, that this unexpected incident with your son's car, the sudden call for your husband, and the fact that they were driving at that moment are truly mystical? But yes, mostly young people have died here, while your husband was older.
He was 47.
And I can't shake the thought that the boys were supposed to die at that moment.
So, it turns out that at the moment Ruslan died, the danger threatened his son and Jenya's friend. But the man's presence diverted death away from the boys.
He simply shielded them and saved them.
But why do young men die on this stretch of road? What force is taking them to the other side?
Khayal, do you remember on the way here, you felt the presence of a shapeshifter?
Yes, Hala. I also mentioned a girl in a white wedding dress. I see her dressed in white, with flames burning on her head. She walks along the road, collecting dead flowers.
Could it be a female shapeshifter?
As I understand it now, the fire on her head is red hair like yours, Hala.
The card of the girl's death. She was either preparing for a wedding or trying on a wedding dress. Oh, I've got goosebumps, look.
Somewhere here violence occurred against this girl. I feel she was raped.
Yes, there was such a case. Almost 11 years ago, a girl with red hair was found here.
Around the swamp.
The girl was very beautiful, red-haired and curly. She was brutally raped and then strangled and dragged into the pond.
As it turned out, the news of the brutal murder of 17-year-old Yulia caused a stir in all the surrounding villages. Her mutilated body was found in the forest near the road. But how is her terrible death connected to the accidents on this road?
The girl's spirit is calling me.
She was very naive. She didn't understand who she could trust and who she couldn't. She grew up on her own, like wild grass in the field.
But her parents were drunkard. She was like an orphan.
Violence in the most brutal form, because I sense internal organ rupture, like bruises or some kind of wounds on her chest, and her mouth is torn. This is so awful.
They tormented her badly, and that's what she died from.
I sense that before this, she talked to two guys who she knew. They were coming back from someplace where it was fun.
Yeah, they were at a disco in the neighboring village.
The Ginger Beauty was last seen alive at the disco. She went there with her friends. However, none of them noticed how or where she disappeared.
They interrogated all the young people in the village for 5 days.
A witness was finally found. A young man saw one of the local boys washing his bloodied hands in the restroom of a local cafe.
Someone said they saw him washing his hands. They were covered in blood, and he was washing them.
The forensics proved that the rapist was indeed the guy the witness pointed out.
I see two young men. They brought the girl's dead body here.
Khayal, I think only one of them brutally raped her.
And the other one helped him get rid of the body.
At the interrogation, the accomplice confessed that he helped carry the girl's mutilated body along this very road, all the way to the spot where the psychics are now.
I feel that one of them was punished while the other one wasn't.
One of them recently got out of prison. He served 10 years.
Although one of the two offenders served time in prison, what is 10 years of confinement compared to the life stolen from her? This is why the girl's spirit can't find peace.
She's collecting her fiancés, you see.
I saw the girl at the very beginning of the investigation. Back then, I saw her in a long white dress gathering dead flowers by the roadside. Now I see what it means. She wants a fiancé for herself. So she takes the young men she likes, and after their deaths, she gathers the flowers from the wreaths along the road to make a wedding bouquet.
It's just unbelievable. But not only the psychics see the spirit, she also appears to the locals.
Svetlana's son often goes to the neighboring village, and when he approaches these flowers, here, where people died, he says he constantly sees a white silhouette of a woman. When he gets closer, she disappears.
At first, I didn't believe him. "What are you making up?" I said. "That can't be." But he said, "Mom, what could someone be doing there at 1 or 2 o'clock at night?" He dashed home like mad.
The woman is desperate. She trembles at the very thought that her son could become the next victim. The psychics are her only hope to stop the dead bride.
"I'm begging you, please perform some kind of ritual, some kind of ceremony, so that nothing like this ever happens on this road again."
A children's doctor has been found dead and drained of blood right in his office. Who and why murdered the man who saved other people's lives so brutally? Don't miss out. The doctor's ghost will come back to reveal the truth. Irina Leshko, an inconsolable Ukrainian mother who lost her only son, Ivan, approached the psychics.
My dear boy, my child died in terrible pain for nothing.
Irina is now a housewife, but she used to be a speech therapist. She always dreamed that her son, Ivan, would be a pediatrician.
He always wanted to help people and treat children.
The 25-year-old Ivan had only recently graduated from the university and was appointed the head of the health center in a village a few hundred kilometers away from his home. However, just several days after that, the young man was found dead in his office. Moreover, he was completely undressed and had 12 deep wounds on his body.
His arms and groin were ripped badly, but the worst thing is the 11-centimeter-long cut on his neck.
He was so happy when he was going to work, but we received him back in a coffin too soon.
The murderer left no fingerprints nor any biological traces at the site of the murder. The only thing the police are certain about is that there were 3 different murder weapons.
Scissors, a razor blade, and a knife, all covered in blood, were found next to Ivan's body. All of them were used to slash his body.
Over 80 people have been interrogated. Also, we carried out over a dozen forensic investigations, but not a single version has been confirmed. As such, the investigation has come up against a dead end.
The young manager planned a meeting with all his colleagues and patients at 8 in the morning that day. Almost all the village gathered in front of the health center.
There were mothers and their children because he wanted to meet all of them.
However, the doctor didn't show up, and the health center was locked.
When we phoned him, he didn't answer.
After they spent almost an hour at the door, people began to worry and peek into the first-floor windows.
And then our driver grabbed his head and shouted out, "There he is, all bloodied." We were all shocked, but somebody had enough sense to call the police.
When police officers arrived, they broke down the door and froze in terror from what they saw.
The blood was all over the walls. The reason for the death was the wound on the victim's neck, which caused massive bleeding. The victim died between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. the previous day.
The health center staff claimed that Ivan stayed alone at work after 4 p.m. The investigation got stalled. The shocking facts don't seem to match. The naked man, tortured to death, with his head almost severed. in his office in the tightly locked building.
The investigators found the key to the pediatrics department in Ivan's office. However, the door of the department was locked from the inside. Therefore, nobody knows how the murderer or murderers entered.
I beg the psychics, the people with supernatural abilities, especially Kayal Alekbarov and Olena Kurilova, to help us find the murderer.
Olena Kurilova and Kayal Alekbarov are working on a different investigation. Nevertheless, considering the complexity of the case, they decided to work with Ivan's photo while they're traveling. I see a cabinet with a mirror in the corner of a room and a couch opposite it. And there's a large brown desk in the middle of the room. His spirit is waiting for someone there. It's hard to believe, but being almost 600 kilometers away from the site, the psychic gives an accurate description of the office in which the young doctor worked and where he was found dead.
He's trying to say something. I'll be there until she knows everything.
She? Does this indicate that a woman was involved in the young man's death? It's weird, because his spirit is telling me, find the diary. It bears the secret of my death. The clairvoyants shared their experiences with their colleagues, who also undertook the investigation of the young pediatrician, Yaroslava Fedorova and Larisa Hutsanu.
This man's death is connected with a present he received not long before he died. Freezing cold emanates from the present.
I see him with his hands and feet tied. It seems he was tied before he was murdered.
The victim's parents, Irina and Zinovie, as well as the locals and the police, are waiting for the psychics in front of the health center.
My only son was tortured to death in this building. We hope you can help us.
I see blood everywhere.
Ivan's blood was found in the bathroom, the lobby, and his office.
All his belongings were in blood. Over there, that's where the torture began.
Judging by the bloody footprints, the murderer attacked Ivan in the lobby. This is where the first cuts were made. The trace of blood shows that Ivan ran to the bathroom, evidently trying to hide from the attacker. After that, he tried to lock himself in his office, where he was eventually murdered.
But if it's really what happened, then how did the murderer leave the building? The door of the department was locked from the inside, and the key was found in the office.
Something changed here. I feel the windows opened differently.
Yes. Do you mean the windows weren't plastic? What kind of windows were they?
They were wooden.
The window didn't close.
The office is on the first floor, so it wouldn't be hard for the murderers to climb in and out of the building discreetly through the window.
Nevertheless, the investigators didn't find any fingerprints on the window frames in the doctor's office.
We could assume the murderer or murderers wore gloves.
I see struggle. I need to get out. I hear shouting, angry shouting.
It's a scandal.
I have a clear feeling that there is a woman involved in this, and that she is directly connected to the thing that happened to the young man.
His arms are slashed, his flesh is ripped, the wounds are very strange.
The forensics concluded that the first cuts were made on his arms. The longitudinal cuts were made with the scissors, while the transverse cuts were made with the blade. The cuts in the groin were also made with the blade. The lethal wound in the neck was made with the knife.
I hear phone calls and threats.
I feel two people behind the wall. One of them entered and exited.
There, where the clairvoyant is pointing, is the emergency department. It's right behind the wall from the office where Ivan's body was found.
Were you inside the building when it happened?
The ambulance was called, and so we left. It was 4 or almost 4 when we left.
According to the investigators, the ambulance crew returned at about midnight. The forensic examination concluded that the manager of the health center was dead by that time.
We didn't hear all the facts. When he came here, he began changing everything here.
Yes.
He said, "I'm in charge here, so give me this and that."
He took all the keys?
Yes.
The employees of the health center said they treated Yvonne with caution, as if he interrupted the order of things they were used to.
He experienced pressure, you see. First it was moral pressure and then physical.
I have a vision of 2 people.
These 2 are involved in Yvonne's death.
Were you in charge here?
As a head nurse, I did the work of a medical attendant.
The health center had no manager for a year, so this woman, Nadia, was the acting manager. But everything changed after the young doctor arrived.
I feel a conflict.
Could these people hate the victim?
He irritated them.
We anticipated a head doctor because it was too hard to work without the head doctor.
You're lying because he told me. They told me to sit in my office and never interfere with their business.
The victim's mother is certain it all started after. On her advice, her son began checking how his employees did their work.
He gathered everyone for a meeting in the morning and asked them to prepare all the papers on the center's property and financial activities. Somebody didn't like it a lot.
I had the same vision as when we'd worked with the photo. It looked like Yvonne was tied before he died, and it was done by a woman. Only later did I realize what the thing that tied him was.
The woman again. Could it be the head nurse Nadia? But the investigators didn't find any ropes on the young doctor's body.
Tell me, please, are you related?
We are sisters.
This is Lubov, Nadia's sister. She also works in the center as a nurse. After Yvonne was appointed as the head doctor, she became his assistant.
To protect each other, you are ready to rip anybody's throat and make their life impossible. You were here, and you were the last to see him alive.
It was at about 3:20. We returned after a call. I told him I was going home, and he went to his office.
Olena, those 2 who are connected with Yvonne's death, I see them more clearly now. These are a man and a woman.
The women didn't lie, and they really went home while Yvonne was still alive.
But who are the couple involved in the doctor's death that the clairvoyants see? And what are the health center employees trying to conceal?
I see people who, roam, stumbling.
There were 3 guys hanging out not far from the health center all the time. I even saw them peek into the windows.
They're intoxicated. They seem to be on drugs, not knowing where they are.
Those people, who are either alcoholics or addicts, can be often here.
I feel the presence of Yvonne's spirit. He told me the secret is in the diary. What kind of diary could it be? It contains some personal notes.
Here it is. It's his notebook.
It's a notebook. It's not a diary.
And there's almost nothing in it. Sinicode, Libexin. These are medicines that contain small doses of the substance that drug addicts use.
Hold on. He was the manager of the center. Do you have dangerous drugs that have a narcotic effect?
The emergency service has them.
Sometimes, doctors who have access to narcotic drugs may sell them to drug addicts.
The young man's diary is green. We need it. It contains the truth. But the notebook the clairvoyants are holding is red, while the one the detective has is white. Is there another notebook?
I see his spirit walking there. Let's go there quickly.
The clairvoyants decide to come back to the site where Ivan's body was found. But Larisa Hutsanu suddenly feels sick.
My God, he experienced such pain. I can't look at it.
Larissa, bring water. Larissa.
I felt somebody put cold hands on my shoulders. It was Ivan. He was pushing me toward his mother.
Oh, God. I need to do a ritual so all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. Can you turn off the light? Now you can turn it on. I see that day. He stayed alone. There's nobody else here. He's all alone. He was sitting here, and his soul was weeping. He understood it was the end of his life.
His spirit tells me, open the book, and I'll show you what I wrote in my diary before I died. It's something about children.
He's showing me a green notebook, and you're giving me a red notebook.
So what?
It contains the truth.
We eventually managed to find Ivan's diary, which the psychics mentioned. It was green, and it contained a note. Give all my belongings to friends and children. It looks like a note left by someone who knew for sure that he would die.
This is incredible. Was Ivan maybe being threatened? Did he know he would be murdered? Was this the reason he left the note? But why is his mother hiding it?
God, Kyle. I'm even afraid to say it out loud. The cards are showing me he committed suicide.
My God! But how did he do it? What the psychics are saying is terrifying. Suicide. The slit arms and groin, and the neck almost cut through. How could he do this to himself? With scissors, a knife, and a blade.
You are Satanists. You cut him up and sacrificed him.
What Satanists?
You! You are Satanists.
Are you trying to say I murdered him?
Then who else?
Do you mean I murdered your son?
Who else could do this?
Why are you saying this?
Stop it.
The innocent soul was sacrificed.
Did you give him the knife?
We found later that, not long before Ivan's death, Irina had bought him a kitchen knife for his household needs. It was the knife with which Ivan's throat was sliced.
What impressed me most was the resentment Ivan felt. The resentment was toward his mother. This and anger. She tied me. He's showing me. But it's not a rope. This is something sticky and slimy. It's an umbilical cord. It's an energetic cord that connects him to his mother. He says she strangled him with it and sucked all his blood out of him.
What is that supposed to mean? That I killed him?
She's calling everyone, all the employees. She can even call at night, shouting, "I wish you all and your children death. We fear her."
People are tired of her threats on the phone and face-to-face.
May God punish you hard. May your children and grandchildren and their children commit suicide.
Look! You made your son feel that way.
What are you talking about?
Ivan's spirit is telling me, my mother made my life impossible. And my father simply turned his back and said nothing. This is so astonishing.
The truth was that Ivan's mother never allowed him to go anywhere freely. She would always call him, and she would even come to visit him at the university and dormitory.
She bothered everybody with her calls. She said something that wasn't true. She claimed we heard him, but nobody ever heard him. She also said about some girls that he took to different places, spending all his money on them. But he never took anybody anywhere. His mom was around him all the time.
We consulted a psychiatric professional to see if the mother's erratic behavior was really to blame for the harrowing death of her son.
This is a case of a mother's overwhelming dictate. His mother dominated him. This type of matriarchy may result in the distortion of an individual's personality.
Occasionally, he turned off his phone, and I had to ask him to turn it on because his mom would be calling everyone else, bothering us.
When could I be bothering him? When?
All the time.
Never. I never did anything bad to him.
Once he was going somewhere, but she didn't let him, claiming he would be killed there. She forbade him to go.
Parents who are too protective of their kids can make them too dependent. Suicide rates among such dependent young people are quite high.
I have a vision. Ivan sits in the office that you, Olena, and I saw. His mother is next to him, and he's shouting at her, asking her to leave him alone.
Did you arrive here with your son?
Yes, I did arrive here with him. I wanted to see the village and see what household problems needed attention, like if I needed to buy him new curtains or something.
But you and him quarreled.
No, we didn't quarrel. Are you kidding me?
Tell us the truth.
When he woke up in the morning, he said, "Mom, you must leave."
Ivan felt anger towards his mother. He wished to be away from her. He would say, "What am I supposed to do? Kill her? Should I shoot her or what?" He only saw two options, either to kill himself or her. Ivan never considered anything else.
His mother decided he would be a doctor, and she didn't allow him to date girls. She lived his life for him, and he understood he would never live a life of his own, but the life she wanted him to live.
Felt like she kept him tied to herself.
A phone conversation. He spoke to somebody before he died.
Did he talk to you?
No, he didn't.
His mother was the only person who ever called Ivan Leshko.
When somebody kills themselves, they usually try to do it as soon as possible. But he killed himself in an unusual and unexpected way. He even gathered all his employees so they would find his body. It was an attempt to prove something, convince someone, and demonstrate his position.
This is beyond my comprehension. The mother's fanatical devotion to her son made the young man do such an awful thing.
We are grateful to the team of the psychics for pointing out the fine details which helped us make the only right and lawful decision possible in this particular case.
An otherworldly entity is trying to take away a little boy from his parents. Can the psychics stop the murderous ghost? And what terrifying truth about the family will it reveal? Oleksandr and Hanna Sosonenko, parents of a 2-year-old Ukrainian boy named Bohdan, asked the psychics for help.
Bohdan, show how you can swing.
His mother won't let Bohdan go far away from her, as she's certain the boy is in grave danger.
I'm so terrified. I can't imagine my life without him.
I worry about him a lot. He's our only child.
The boy's parents are convinced that an entity from another world is trying to take away their son.
I had a dream in which Bohdan was being chalked. When I woke up, I saw a cat sitting on his chest.
The family has no pets, however. Hanna doesn't understand how the cat could sneak into their house at night, as all the doors and windows were shut. Besides, the cat disappeared just as mysteriously as it had appeared. And after that dream,
we were in the car, and on the turn to our house, a red car drove out in front of us suddenly.
The red car almost hit the car in which the family was. The boy was sitting on his mother's lap. The only thing that saved them from the collision was that the father turned the steering wheel timely.
It swerved wildly, but I stopped it. My heart was racing.
And 2 days later, little Bohdan was close to death again.
I have this large mirror, and Bohdan was running not far from it, and it fell.
At the last moment, Hannah's uncle caught the mirror and saved the boy from death.
It could hit him on the head. And it's heavy. It's really heavy.
Panicked, the parents took all the mirrors and pictures off the walls and made sure all the ceiling lights were fixed firmly in place. But it didn't help. A few days after that, some kind of unknown force hurled Bohdan against the wall.
He was not more than 3 meters from us. There was nobody around him, but he suddenly swirled. When he rose his head, it was all bloodied.
Almost every day, the boy finds himself faced with situations between life and death. His family is certain it's not a mere coincidence.
There have been too many of these mysterious situations, too many coincidences for one kid.
When Hannah learned that the famous gypsy clairvoyant Rubina Cybulska was nearby, conducting an investigation, she hurried to see her and ask her for help.
Hello. I really need your help. I have a little son, and I think he's in terrible danger.
What's his name?
Bohdan.
I see hands holding a little doll. And someone winds a black thread around the doll's throat, chalking it. It really looks like a ritual. To put a death spell on somebody.
He almost suffocated right before he was born. We arrived at the hospital, and everything was all right. And then suddenly his heart rate decreased, and he began suffocating.
To save the boy, the doctors performed an urgent C-section on Hannah.
The situation was very, very serious, and I required assistance.
Azerbaijani psychic Kayal Alekperov agreed to help Rubina Cybulska.
My book says we will find the answer under the white birds.
Where is this place?
The father must know it. There's a secret connected with him.
Does it mean the boy's father is to blame?
When I look at Alexander's photo, my jinns tell me Qabil and Habil. There's a story of fratricide in the Quran.
There's a story of Cain and Abel in the Old Testament. In it, one brother killed another.
We must ask Alexander if he has a brother.
I saw a man in the dream I had last night. He was all bow-backed and broken all over. He was sitting making a coffin. And there were 2 more closed coffins standing upright behind him. He told me, "Don't interfere."
Hello. Thank you for coming.
Hello, Hannah.
I'm Alexander, Hannah's husband. We worry about our son Bohdan.
Tell me, do you have a brother?
I don't. I only have 2 sisters.
It's weird. Wait, where's the boy?
He's inside.
Kayal, what's wrong?
The board fell.
The board could have cracked his head open.
He uses it for drawing.
There was a dead man's spirit in the room next to the boy. He pushed the heavy board down. The man's spirit is about my height. And he was reaching out to Bohdan as if he wanted to asphyxiate him.
Bohdan, look in the mirror. Do you see yourself?
Yes.
I see a boy's figure, and I need to see who this child is. I need to summon his spirit.
It was highly dangerous to carry out any rituals while the child was around.
Go to Grandpa.
Show yourself. He's about 6 or 7. He's fair-haired and plump. Who are you? He can't speak. He's got a scar. He's showing it to me.
Danya.
Our elder son.
Our elder son, Danya.
What happened to him? Where's the scar from?
He flipped over a cup of hot water and burned his skin badly.
After that, he had a skin transplantation procedure. It all healed up, but the scar remained. It was over here.
He's gone, right? When did it happen?
3 years ago.
The boy's spirit is pointing at the house. Let's go over there. Quick.
My God. What happened here?
I hear a child's voice shouting out, "Mom, Mom!" The child is calling for help desperately. The sound is coming from here. The child is shouting here. It's a little boy. He's crying, and there's fear and panic in his eyes.
My God, what happened?
The smell of burning. Some cloth is burning.
There was a fire in our house, and he chalked.
Dear God, here at the door, I see another child's body. It's another little boy.
Our younger son. The elder and the younger, 7 and 3, Yehor and Danya.
What a nightmare! The 2 children died in a fire in this house 3 years ago.
I see a picture. The boys were alone in the house. You go outside, holding some things in your hands.
I was carrying bags, yes. I was taking laundry to my mother-in-law's.
Hannah carried clothes to her mother-in-law's house, which is nearby, to do laundry. After she loaded the clothes into the washing machine, she went back home immediately.
And I see you, Olesander, with a bundle of firewood in your arms. You also left the house.
It was January. We'd sown the seeds and needed to heat the greenhouse. And I was only away for 5 minutes at most.
Nobody could even imagine that in some 15 or 20 minutes, the house would be filled with smoke.
The firefighters had checked the wiring after that. It was in good condition.
Something made of cloth caught fire.
Toys.
According to the firefighters, the source of the fire was the toy box, which started burning.
The children were still alive when you came, but it was too late to save them.
We ran into the house, but there was a lot of smoke and we couldn't see anything. We found the kids and took them out.
We started reviving Danya and called an ambulance. They didn't admit me to the ambulance. We drove to the hospital after the ambulance, but when we got there, we were told they were dead.
My God. My God, this is so terrible. 2 children.
I see the boys can't get out of the house because somebody's hands locked the door like a trap.
The father was in the yard, so he didn't lock the door. But after the fire started, it turned out that the door was locked.
I tried to open the door, but it wouldn't go.
The 3 of us tried to break it down, and we barely did it.
I see a boy run up here. He tries to open the door, but he can't reach the handle, and something falls on him from the hanger.
Danya, the elder of the 2 brothers, was found in the bedroom. He chalked, sitting in front of the TV, but it took everybody a long time to find the younger boy, Yehor.
Yehor was lying in the extension building. We didn't see him at once and stepped over him. He was covered with a coat. It had been on the hanger. He pulled it down. And he covered with it.
The same spirit that is hunting little Bodan took your 2 other sons.
What is this?
There are pieces of broken slate lying in front of the house. What is going on?
This is the spirit of this dead man.
But why did the man's spirit take this family's 2 sons and is hunting the other one?
You're not the only one in your family who has lost children.
My elder sister lost her first child, and so did my second sister. Her baby didn't live more than 3 days.
It looks very much like an ancestral curse. We must work at the site of your family home.
The house of Alexander's parents is nearby. Alexander's father, Vasil, invites the psychics to the yard.
My jinns are telling me to find something that is buried here. The thing brings death. The book is telling me to go that way. A woman is burying something here.
Bring him a shovel, quick.
There's nothing down here. What could be buried here? I dug everywhere.
Here, look.
Come look.
And the black thread?
Well, you look at that and...
Just what you mentioned this morning.
And one of them winds a black thread around the doll's throat and...
This is a charm to bring death to children. The magic is still active.
A woman did it. I see a man. The man had an affair with the woman and left her when she was pregnant. She was in a great pain. And she had an abortion.
My jinns say the charm was made because of a man named Vasil. Is it you?
When I checked the cards, they showed me that the man who was the primary target of the charm had left the house long ago. But how was this possible?
The name of the first owner of the house was also Vasil.
Did he leave?
Yes.
Does it mean the charm targeted the previous owner of the house? And now, Alexander's family is suffering from it.
Every child born in this house is destined to die. Did your sisters live in this house when they were pregnant?
Yes.
Did you live here when Hannah was pregnant with your other 2 children or Bodan?
No. We used to live next door.
The charm we found was indeed aimed at children. This is why Alexander's sisters lost their children who were born in that house. But Hannah never lived in his parents' house, so the charm couldn't have affected her. Something else is threatening Bodan, but first, we must get rid of this. We have to burn it and sprinkle the site with holy water. At that moment, I looked at the wall of the neighboring house and saw a picture of white birds. The birds are the clue my book gave me before the investigation. Below the birds, I see 2 spirits. One of them is a child, a little boy, and he can't talk. I saw him near your house earlier today.
He's got a scar.
But the spirit of the boy I see is not your deceased son. This is another boy, but he also has a scar on his throat. A dead man's spirit that I saw this morning is standing next to him. He was the one who dropped the board on Bohdan. Alexander, this man says he curses you.
He says, you killed my son.
Yes.
Did you kill the boy on this place?
Yes.
Oh my God.
My jinns say the child killed the child.
I was 8 then.
How old was he?
6 or 7.
What was his name?
Yaroslav.
What happened?
The rifle shot. The bullet pierced his carotid artery. He died on the way to the hospital. I dropped the rifle and ran away.
He beckoned Yaroslav to him, took the aim, and shot. The shot ripped his head off. There was so much blood. It was terrible.
It's been 20 years since it happened, but Alexander still feels fear when he recalls that day. In the morning, his uncle arrived to visit them and left his armed rifle in the yard. Nobody remembers why the man took the rifle with him. He was probably going to go hunting.
He left the rifle unattended. And so, it happened.
Little Alexander thought it was a toy and went to boast about it to Yaroslav, their neighbor's son. What happened then was the bang and shock.
The boy says he's your brother in front of God, and you killed him.
My parents were godfathers.
Wait, did your parents baptize the boy you killed?
Yes.
And his family lived next door, right?
Yes.
And then it dawned on me. This was what my book meant when it told me about fratricide. They were brothers in front of God. I feel that the boy's family hates you, and they're always cursing you.
Yes.
The neighbors were devastated by the death of Yaroslav. The boy's mother never recovered after the tragedy.
She lost her mind to drinking.
Whenever she sees me, she starts cursing me and calling me with different bad words.
She even threw stones at him.
It was an accident. It wasn't your fault.
How can I prove it? It was a murder.
The cards told me that the boy's spirit wasn't mad at Alexander for what he'd done, and he understood it had been an accident. Alexander was just a kid, and it was the responsibility of the adults, who left the rifle unattended.
Alexander's uncle was sentenced to 2 years in prison for negligence with the weapon. But ever since, Alexander has always been a murderous child in everyone else's eyes.
The spirit that is hunting your son is telling me he's the dead boy's father.
It turned out that several years after Yaroslav's death, his father, Yuri, fell from the rooftop of a residential high-rise. However, nobody knows to date whether it was an accident or suicide.
The boy's father hated you all his life, and he still hates you after his death. Your children's deaths were his revenge from the other world.
So this is who the broken man from my morning vision was. It was Yuri, the murdered boy's father. He was sitting, making a coffin. We must carry out a ritual on the site where it happened. So you can finally apologize. However, there was, of course, no guarantee that the spirit would accept his apology. Yuri's spirit, come to us. Alexander, he's standing in front of you.
Uncle Yuri, please forgive me. I didn't know what to do. I was even thinking of hanging myself. Forgive me, please.
Yaroslav, come to us too.
Yaroslav, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. Forgive me, please. Uncle Yuri. Don't touch Bodan. He's my last hope.
The fire began extinguishing by itself. The spirit accepted the apology. They're gone now.
From now on, they'll rest in peace, and they won't pose any danger to your family.
Thank you so much for helping us save Bodan.
Thank you.
None of us can change our past, but we can change our future. Sometimes, to do it, you must repent of what you did and apologize to those you hurt.